Good morning, America and the world, because we are broadcasting worldwide, right?
We
That's
are.
pretty
We
exciting.
are.
So, this is another wonderful weekly success story show where we showcase and we introduce experts and amazing people in their industries. And I'm Al Otero, the president of the Global Trade Chamber, and this is Maria Rene Davila.
I'm muting my phone, sorry. With the technology now, we live 24/7 with this technology
It's not
device.
easy.
But you forgot to say something else.
We're
Today, we're actually celebrating also the third season.
the third season of Success Stories. And get ready, we're going to have a magazine that's going to have a section called Success Stories. So we're going to let you know more about that later. So welcome, Maria.
Welcome,
Happy
Mom.
Friday.
Definitely it's a happy Friday,
And I'm ready
especially
for
for
my
you
happy
that you're
hour.
traveling this weekend. So, wow.
Always working, Maria. Always working.
Yeah, now I'm sure you're going to be working this weekend a
All
lot
weekend.
in Disney.
Yeah, Disney. What is that?
I want to welcome our special guest. We have two wonderful ladies, and let me tell you a little bit more about them.
Great.
I have Dr. Tristica McCray. She actually has a PhD, and she's the founder of Nerds Rule International Academy. She's also a recipient of the 2016 White House Award, Global Change Maker Award. She's also a member of the United Nations, and she is a award recipient for our event, the 100 Successful Women in Business 2021.
Wow.
Welcome.
Welcome. Tristica.
How are you? Good morning.
Welcome from California.
From California. I forgot to say
Yes,
that.
Yeah.
California.
California.
So
San
she just-
Diego.
San Diego.
Diego,
Oh,
wow.
beautiful part of the country.
Yes.
Look great today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So do you too. Good morning.
And also want to welcome our next guest, which is Eva Diaz. Eva Diaz is the founder and CEO for Phoenix Human Capital Solutions, LLC. She's a senior business executive whom has developed her career in human resources with 4 of the biggest corporations in the world,
Wow.
or leaders in their industry, Philip Morris, L'Oreal, Novartis, and IFF, which is the International Flavor and Fragrances, among other things.
Amazing. Where is she?
Welcome, Eva. She's in Miami.
Oh, she's here in South Florida.
Yes, and I'm a privileged person living in South Florida. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. As I understand we've been broadcast around the globe.
Yes.
It is a great pleasure to be here and sharing this virtual stage with Trisca. And I want to thank you both for this wonderful opportunity to be here live and being able to interact with you and being able to talk a little bit about myself, what I do, understanding what Trisca do as well. So this is awesome. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Well, what I like today is that one thing is Tristica, she serves the community. And Eva serves the business people. So these are all people that are servants at heart, always making people be better and succeed in different areas, whether it's personal or business. I think it's a great combination to have today because everybody needs help right now after COVID. From the businesses are struggling and they don't understand what's going on. And a lot of families and individuals, women, young people are struggling also because of COVID, but many other reasons. So this is a very special show.
Absolutely. And the best way to start this amazing conversation today is by learning more about them. And I'm going to start with Dr. Tristica to tell us more about your organization.
So my organization is called Nerds Rule Inc. And everyone's like, what? Say it slower. Nerds Rule Inc. Nerds Rule Inc. is an organization that I put together in 2011. I wanted to start creating change in our community with teens, youth, and young adults. You know, it's very hard when you graduate after school. They're looking for that. You're going to school for 4 years and you're not giving people the after. Like, what am I supposed to do? So Nerds Rule Inc. was created to give people the afterthought, how to write down their dreams, how to develop a program, how to do something that they feel great about. So I had the opportunity to be in a couple of fellows programs, and they were good programs, but the programs didn't give me the after effect. Like, I graduated, I walked the stage, I was happy, I got my certificate, but I felt empty in the end. Like, what am I going to do with the end result? I did all of this good work, I studied hard, but no one gave me the end after. So I created Nerd Rule Inc. to give people, teens and young adults, low income families, the after. We are struggling during this time to show individuals what they can do with their goods, their tools, because a lot of people are so gifted, but they just don't know how to put it into action. So Nerd Rule Inc. is really here to give resources and give that afterthought to everyone who's searching for something to do in their community and how to use their gifts.
Wow.
Amazing.
A lot of the things that we see over the years is that there's a lot of workshops, even certificate programs, where you go through the program, you get your certificate, but there's no follow-up. So
No.
that is a huge gap in not only in the community, but also in business. I've been to many workshops. I had the information and no follow-up. So 3 months later, I forgot most of what I learned. So
Yes.
follow-up is a much needed in everything. And speaking to somebody from HR, that is a constant thing that you have to do with the businesses is follow up. So that service you're providing is phenomenal. Excellent.
Thank you so much.
And Eva, tell us more about your company.
Yeah, with pleasure. But before I go there, I just want to compliment Dr. Tristica for her so inspiring and purposeful work. It's so needed. I myself, as part of this new, let's say, phase of my life, have been trying to find solutions to help graduates to find their first job. And it sounds to me that this is exactly what you are doing through your organization. And I even had a project with one of the organizations that I'm part of, and to find the first employer that was supposed to be something between the academia, government, and private sector. So we'll talk about this in another time. So Eva Diaz, I am the CEO and founder of this company that I put together in 2017 called Phoenix Human Capital Solutions. And Phoenix, it was intentional because it really related to the history of the bird that was reborn from its F-rays. And what that means that I kind of reinvented myself after spending almost 30 years working for these big multinationals, a little bit around the globe. I am Brazilian by origin, but I left Brazil 23 years ago. From there, I went to Europe. I spent 5 years there. And then I've been here in the United States for 18 years. I am an American citizen. I am proud to say this. So anyway, what we do? We means myself. I am a solopreneur, and my mission when I put this company together was really, as it's stated in my profile, to help people and organizations to unveil and unleash their potential to become whatever they want. Unfortunately, I think we live in a world that we are obliged to shape up, and we kind of abandon our self, our core, very early in our lives to be accepted, to fit and so on and so forth. So my job through my company is really to reconnect people with their core, their selves, and ultimately make them find happiness by doing so.
Nice.
We want happiness. I like happiness.
Me
It's on
too.
my list. It's on my list. Happiness is on my list every day. But also bringing the HR aspect to people's lives and their jobs, they're going to have peace and be happy because they don't have to deal with all this craziness in the workplace now. And we'll get it back to that, but I think that's a great thing. I'm going to go back to Tristica, doctor. I'm going to call her doctor because she's a doctor. So it's not the doctor that's going to help my pain here, is it?
No,
No.
it's a different type.
Oh, different doctor. Okay. So there's a lot of terms in the community now, and have been for a while, that are confusing to people. And two of them that I come to my mind is underserved and underprivileged communities. Can you explain a little bit about that?
I know for us with working with 𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐿 Inc., for underprivileged and underserved to us is basically the same to us, because they both, the resources, they're not able to get the resources that they deserve. Unfortunately, in the health field, same thing. Insurance wise, that's why a lot of young adults come to us, because they want their families to be better. And what I mean by better is because they can't get the right medical experience that everyone else gets. Unfortunately, during this time, we see so many people not getting everything that they need in their homes because they don't know about the resources. Underserved and underprivileged, they don't get a chance to know what's really needed in their community. So with 𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐿 Inc., we work with both populations so we can educate them on what they need for not only their families, but what they need for their children. So with us, with 𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐿 Inc., we consider those two, underprivileged and underserved. We don't like to call them under, because under means like, beneath, like you can't achieve something. So we like to call them champions, your champion, because that's what they're labeled, is underprivileged and underserved.
Yes. Yep.
So we like to call them champions. No, you're a champion, well, I can barely read. I this is what they call me, and they're labeled. So those two words are a very harsh word. And I came from an underprivileged community, and we didn't have resources. And I thought to myself, when I get older, I want to learn how can I go back to my organization and create something. And what we used to say, how can we go back to our hood? How can we go back to our hood and help everybody else and give them the opportunity to get into a situation where they can help others. So it's like bringing them back. So those two words, as for me, we always heard that, you're under us, you're under. So we like to call those underprivileged and underserved champions, because they will achieve what the tools we give them. So
I think what comes to mind from everything that you said is, all they don't have is access. That's it.
Right.
I think the key word that comes to mind in this situation is lack of access to the resources, and you give them access. So I think it's a great vision that you have, and a great project, and we're behind you 100%. I love it.
And talking about the underprivileged communities, who are the people that is most affected in, these communities, as you mentioned?
Mainly people of color and single parent homes. Women, unfortunately, are the big bubble, that they're single parents, they have children, and they can't get access to these great organizations or things to help their community. So women of color are the most affected ones. And here where I live at, I work with mental health, and unfortunately with mental health, suicide prevention, African American women and Hispanic women are number 2 and number 3. African American women are number 2 rate, and Hispanic women are number 3. So here we need to give these resources on not only spiritual but mental as well, because these women feel like they can't do enough with their families. So that's another big thing that we work with, is mental health. And in those communities, mental health is very taboo. We don't talk about mental health. We don't
Right.
talk about, I'm not feeling well. And what we want to show others and individuals, it's okay not to feel okay. And that's not what society
Excellent.
teaches us.
Excellent.
And
One thing
unfortunately, yeah.
one thing that we talked about before is the high level of teen suicide, and
Mhm.
you're touching exactly on that, because if the mothers have more stability, there will be less stress in the home, and the youth are going to have less. I think it's the direct correlation. So mental health is not. It's also the stress and the things that cause people to take their lives, right?
But like you said, that not everybody understands the importance of mental health.
Exactly.
And another topic that not everybody understands is definitely human resources. They don't understand, companies usually,
They don't.
sometimes they take for granted the part of the human resources. And that's why we have Eva with us today. And if you can explain more about
The
term, what human resources means.
Well, again, with pleasure. And you are absolutely right. Unfortunately, still there has been, or there is still, lots of confusion on people's mind about what is human resources. Well, if you think of an organization, any organization, it doesn't matter if it's small, medium, big, whatever, gigantic, it is made of resources, right? So whether these are services, products, it depends on the sector, manufacturing, industry, so on and so forth. And amongst these resources, you have, what it takes to produce something. You have labs, but these are all managed by one asset, people. And human resources is, within any organization, the function that is responsible for the management of the people in a given organization.
Wow, that's a great definition.
And what that means is that there is a cycle of people management that goes around that. That it starts with the recruitment of skills, a person, bring this person in, onboard this person, train this person to do the job right when they start in a given job, train this person to move through, if it is a medium to bigger organizations, their careers, and all the way until this person leaves, okay? Obviously, in each one of these phases of the people management cycle, there are different approaches. And I myself have gone through all of them, if you will. And I started, this is something that I want to explain here, where the confusion comes over. Working for what we normally know, the so-called human resources, as personnel administration.
Mm.
And personnel administration is just one piece of this whole cycle. Personnel administration are the services in human resources. That means payroll, benefits administration, everything that, is more, let's say, organic to make a workforce to operate in an organization. Everything else that is the strategic piece of human resources is more human resources related. And that's why there are so much confusion about this.
And it's all, it wasn't planned, but what these two ladies are talking about is taking people that are really not necessarily business savvy or entrepreneurs, coaching them, teaching them, and then come Eva's part that once you have even a small business, you have to understand all of the aspects. So we're creating a full cycle from coming out of an area where the underprivileged, soon to be champions.
Dr. Tristica call it champions.
I love that, champions. I'm going to get a t-shirt.
Heroes.
We're champions. So that I love this, the way that this whole process becomes one, because we can take them from the community, bring them all the way to running a corporation, and have all the tools to succeed.
Yeah, because what Eva is also saying about human resources is that involves management, right? Like one person can manage the organization, but they need to understand all the components of having human
It's
resources.
huge.
And sometimes people they believe that human resources is only for medium to large
Yeah,
organizations.
that's true.
And I believe that that's a terrible mistake.
No,
You need to know how to manage your small company
Yeah.
if you want to grow.
Yes.
As a business consultant, I saw for years cases where people were not ready to grow. They started an idea, they started the company, they were
Yes.
doing fine, and suddenly they started, growing and having more customers or clients and making an income and everything, but they were not ready because they didn't have that vision on how I'm going to manage my team, how I'm going to manage
The process and procedures.
everything.
Yeah,
So that is so
amazing.
important. And another thing that is important is the resources that we can find in the community with the government, but we don't know, we're not aware about.
Yes.
Like the government programs, and I'm sure that the Dr. Tristica can tell us more about the government, different programs that the government has available for small business.
I mean, like
for,
grants. They're called grants. Right?
well, I guess that's called grants, right?
Yes, they're called grants, government grants.
Because with that, you can also start a business.
Yeah.
And, all the cycle start, you have the grant, you have the business, and then you need all the components for human resources. Don't you think? Dr. Tristica, tell us more about some time of government helps that you are aware of.
So I know with us, with 𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬, we had an opportunity to apply for funding. A lot of things that a lot of people don't realize, people, if they like your idea and you put a proposal together, they will fund you. You can also get a seed offering, and
Wow.
people will fund what you do. I know when I first started 𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬, I was funding it all by myself. I was like, oh my God, no one's going to help. No one's going to get it. And I remember the first time I applied for a seed grant with an organization, and they said, you know what, you shortchange your vision. And I was like, what? I shortchanged? They're like, you didn't even have to tell me what you did. It was your personality, and it's your heart. And I was like, wow. So they helped me fund my first project. And my first project was for bullying prevention. And at the time, the people who funded my project said their child was being bullied. And they were looking for all these bullying prevention projects, and they came across my website. And they said, your website struck us. It was just, it looked fun and loving, and that's what my daughter was missing. And they planted a seed in 𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬, and that changed my life forever, because I just thought no one believed in what I did. And that organization said, you shortchange yourself. You should believe in what you do. And that's what a lot of people, when they come into 𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬 as a fellow or an ambassador, they receive everything that I've learned. I learned that I had to look for funding, and the grants, they have grants.gov, government grants that you have to register in their website, and you can go on there and look. You can type in domestic violence, and domestic violence grants will pop up. So anything that you're looking for is on that website. It's just you have to research it. You can't do it by yourself. You have to have a team and look for it. But they're out there. Money and resources is out there. Don't be afraid to be a champion and get out there and start creating change.
Well, your organization does exactly that. I understand that you helped a young person get a $100,000 grant with your training. So you're doing a phenomenal service to the community.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
$100,000 for a young person.
Yes, one of our fellows.
I'm young.
Yeah, we're young too.
Yes, one of our fellows that graduated last year from the 𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬 Academy, he was our first fellow that won $100,000 for his project in Africa. So we are very proud of him. Yes, we are very proud of him. And we have other fellows from South Africa, from Uganda, and they're doing great things. We're on cohort 2 right now. We have 8 fellows this year, and I'm really excited. We have 7 international and 1 U.S. Fellow so I'm really excited about what they are creating right now with everything they're doing.
Well, I want to tell you right now, we have people from Uganda saying hello and watching the show all over, from everywhere. So we are amazing, touching lives all day. So I'm going to ask one of the problems that I've seen for years, Eva, because we've been at this for a long time, me longer than you, of course, helping people start and grow and succeed. One of the problems that I always find out after they make the mistake is people don't have any idea about labor laws. So they get sued by the employees only because they were not familiar or aware with the labor laws. And that is the huge mistake that people make. They don't even understand this labor law, especially with the multicultural low-income communities. They don't, because they're not familiar with the government. Labor laws can break your company, right, Eva?
For both sides.
For both
Completely.
sides.
And I'm so glad you brought this one up, because I was going to talk about this. As you have the different sizes of companies, the role of HR changes. And for a small business, you are absolutely right. If one of the biggest challenges is to have, the owners of those business understanding the importance of complying with labor laws and get themselves out of trouble. And
Yes.
trouble, you are totally right, out may means that they lose their business, because it takes one litigation from an employee or former employee normally to get them, completely taken out of the market. Because, the judges, they are always ruling in favor of employees, never in favor
Wow.
of employers. And for them, it doesn't matter if you are a small, medium, or big employer. So what really matters, they are there to defend, the employees.
Yeah.
And that's why it's crucial. It's crucial that whomever has a business, no matter what size, understand at least the basics, principles of labor law, to avoid making such a
And
uh,
what you're saying is so important, but I believe that is also important for employers and employees. Both should know more about the regulations and the rights and everything about labor.
Yeah, that's true.
And even in my case, I've been doing business consulting for over 15 years.
More than 3 years.
Yeah. At least 15 years. And believe me or not, I missed one part talking about labor laws. I've been working for a company with a subcontract, it was for education. I did all the job. And after I did everything, they didn't pay me because they were, arguing different things. But the point is that I spent all this time and hours working on this, and they didn't pay me. So I didn't want to waste my time, doing any process. And I just said, is their loss? I'm not going to do anything else. But in any other situation or for any other employee, I think that is so important, to fight for your rights.
Yep.
If you do the work, you deserve to get paid.
I think the U.S. labor laws are fantastic because they protect both the employee and the employer. So it's not one-sided. So I think we have unique, because my son was asking about unions a few days ago. How come there's no more unions? And I told him because the U.S. government has done such a great job in protecting the employees. They don't need unions anymore.
Yes.
So this is one of the better countries for protecting both. It's a double-sided loss. Very good.
I just want to bring a perspective as we are going global. This is great here in the United States, but it's not the case in, talking about I'm going to call underdeveloped countries like my country and other countries, in different continents. where the legislation is not so developed,
That's true.
and everything else, and you see a lot of disparities, in the way employees are, managed or treated even.
Yes.
So I want to talk about this because, I mean, we are privileged to be in the country where the institutions work very well, but this is not, and I can assure you, the case at all when it comes to countries in Latin America, Africa,
Absolutely.
Asia, and so on and so forth. So Europe is also very developed. I worked there 5 years. Europe is very unionized. The labor law is very unionized still. It's so hard to lay off somebody there, I can tell you.
Yeah.
And because there is a big protection for the employee. Okay.
Yeah, the whole key here, Eva, is education for both the employer and the employee.
There we go.
But there's so much to learn that you really have to get, at some point, the help of somebody like Kevin is going to be a consultant and keep you on track. It's like trying to do the law. You're not a lawyer or you're not an accountant, so you do the basics, but you should have professionals taking care of certain parts of your business. So.
Because in human resources, and I believe it's also for even Dr. Tristica with her organizations, she needs to know about all these important aspects in human capital,
yes.
human resources, which is include also all the information about sexual harassment.
Oh yeah.
And the
discrimination,
bullies, discrimination, everything. And of course, also human resources is about how you can recruit, the process of recruiting. And it is extremely important, the process of recruiting, because you can avoid two things, as far as I can tell, and Eva is going to corroborate this or not. Number one, to contract people that is not qualified for the job. Because if you do a good process of recruitment, you're going to know who's the right person for that position.
Absolutely.
And the second thing, you're going to avoid wasting money, because placing ads in different platforms to recruit people is also costly.
Absolutely.
What would you say about this, Eva?
Well, you are completely right. So let me bring some different perspective that is very linked to what you are just saying. I don't know if you guys have heard about the Gallup Institute. It's specialized in surveys, and one of them, a very famous one, and I use it because there is a lot of credibility, is about employee engagement. So I think they survey around 300 companies every year, and then they come up with 12 questions, and they come up on what is going on and how engaged the employees are. The results are very alarming. They say, I think last year, 87% of employees are disengaged. And for exactly what you're saying, Renee, they are hired to do jobs that, one, they are not qualified for, or they don't like to do, okay? And when you get both together, it's, the recipe of a disaster. So the recruitment is the key. Is where the whole thing starts. That's why I am in HR, a very, very strong believer that everything starts with the recruiting the right people for the right place. After that, you need to create also an environment where people feel really good about being there. Because remember, we spend most of our lives at work. Okay, particularly if we work for a company, and it doesn't matter what we do, but it's most of our lives at work. So we need to make sure that we are doing what we like, and we are prepared to do that. And in a lot of cases, this is not the case. So unfortunately, I work for 4 big organizations, guys, that you see, companies. The environment is very toxic. And I'm not saying this to criticize, and none of this, I still work for them. It's because of these two factors. People are not engaged because they are in the wrong jobs and not prepared and doesn't like what they do. And once you create this environment of satisfaction, accomplishment, people bloom, and they are going to do things that are unbelievable. And my job today, when I say helping people and organizations unleash and unveil their potential to thrive, and thrive, that's exactly what I mean, And I've been, I am happy to say that I've been very successful so far, little, slowly, but surely.
Absolutely. Dr. Tristica, in this aspect, like Eva's indicating, is extremely important to hire the right people and for people to have the right work. I believe that is very important for your organization, especially when it becomes to grants and, looking for founding the project that you want to get involved. Tell us more about the process of finding the right team for you.
So with me, wow, it's really difficult finding the right people. I know in October, I'll be doing 𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬 Inc. for 10 years. And during this time, people are just like, gosh, why you have to have the heart for your community. And I think everyone so far who has been a part of 𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬 Inc., their heart is in it. So I always give people the upfront. This is what we're going to do, and this is how it is. And they're like, okay, community, that's all we're doing is community. And I'm like, yes, and 𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬 Inc., we're a fun organization. I love to laugh. We struggle so hard in this life sometimes. You have to have a fun environment. I have worked for very toxic companies where I would come home and I would be literally crying, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why is this boss so mean? So I said, if I ever had the opportunity to become a boss, one, I want to keep my environment very clear, like people can come here and have a fresh breath air. You're with that person for 8 hours, so why would you want to give them a headache for 8 hours? It's just so horrible.
Right, Maria.
It's so horrible. So I said, whoever wants to be a part of 𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬 Inc., I want them to come in with a breath of fresh air. Because I've worked for organizations, I worked for companies where I was just either having anxiety attacks, not feeling safe, and not having a good place where I can come. Because when you go home, your home is your environment is good. It's fresh, it's clean. But when you go to work, you're like, I feel dirty. I don't feel like I can, dream. You're dead there. You're not doing great
and you
things.
can also tell by the energy, right? It's like you somebody, and immediately if you have good energy with that person or not. And I believe the same with your boss. The first interview, you're gonna know if it's something that is gonna work or not.
You're gonna know. We get those energies as children. Just imagine when you're at the playground and you see that person at the playground, you see those children run over there real quick and they make friends instantly because they know I can play with them and they gave me a safe space. And that's how your job area should be. We grow up as children running on the playground and we see that one person over there and we're like, oh, I want to play with them. That's how job areas should be. You should be excited to come to your job, and I'm going to play with Al today because we're going to be doing this. You should be happy.
Yes, the sandbox.
Yes. And that's how we have in 𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬 Inc. I want to smile. I struggle as a Black woman already in this society. So I don't want people of color who work for me to feel that same strange thing that we feel out in this environment. I want them to come in, have this safe space so we can achieve goals as a team. But I don't call us a team. I call us a tribe. So I want our tribe to succeed on what we do next. So that's how you want your environment to be. Champions and a tribe. So that's what my organization is. Champions and tribes.
I think that what we try to do is I try to make everybody smile every day to a point that they tell me to go back to my office. I don't understand that. But if everybody's not happy, like Maria, she would never tell me to leave her office. But we have to plant good seeds to have good results. So if your team, your employees, your staff is not happy, they're not going to make a successful company because they're the ones that are dealing with the customers. So if they're happy, they're going to pass that on to the customers.
Yes.
A miserable employee is going to create miserable customers, and you're going to go out of business. That's just reality. But people don't think like that.
And you can tell when you see an employee that is enjoying, their job,
Yes.
because they feel part of the organization. They contribute
Appreciate
with ideas. They smile. They bring you, projects that are going to help the company to grow or improve in whatever is the area.
Yep.
And you can tell when somebody's not enjoying the job because they are looking at the time where they have to leave. Okay.
That's true.
It's 10 o'clock. I have to go now. Right. So that is extremely important. And I believe more training regarding to this aspect is extremely important. Teaching people more about how to enjoy the workplace, learning more about all the regulations that we should know regarding, the sexual harassment and the discrimination. All these things are extremely important because, believe me or not, everybody that is watching the interview today, we still having these issues in the society.
Absolutely.
Discrimination, harassment.
Very strongly. And I just wanna just perhaps to close the topic for now. One thing that I use in my presentations or training, whatever, is that to exemplify my mission is really to shift the TJIF to TJIM. But instead of thank God it's Friday, thank God it's Monday. And you wake up on Monday wanting to go to your work, meet the people that you are that are there, feeling so excited about this. And I can tell you, it makes a whole lot of a difference.
Yep.
My experience, myself, I think I've been very lucky because I always, I've done what I am passionate for, which is people. And in doing so, and I had my purpose of life, and these two together really put me in, in a position to, I have to say, be very successful, okay? Because no matter what happened, no matter was the situation negative or energy draining, I always hooked up to my passion for what I was doing and my life purpose. So that's why it's so much important. And I'm gonna be working my stomach out from now on to make it happen.
I love it. And I always remember
that's not the part of the body, but
remember, Eva, the webinar you presented about the energy, and we learned about the steps of different energy.
We have to do that again.
We have to practice that.
Yeah.
Before we leave and we finish the show today, I would like to ask you, both of you, this question. And I'm going to start with Dr. Tristica. What is success for you?
Wow. Yikes. What is success for me is to make my mom smile. Make her see that all the hard work that she put into me, that it didn't go in vain. So that's success for me in many ways. When people hear about my story, they hear that once me and my mother was homeless. So, we've come from a background where we had to just pray our way out and listen to our heart and just keep following our heart's desire. So my success would be to make my mom smile and make her proud that, all the sacrifice she did for me, it didn't go in vain. And I want to give back to my mom. Like, that's my goal, to one day to retire my mom from what, I'm going to do it one day. I told her, I was like, that's my goal. I want to retire.
We believe it.
Yeah, that's my goal.
Love it.
That's my goal. So my success is to make my mom proud as a single parent, living having that one sector of our household happen one day in our life, and then see what I'm doing now. She's like, I'm proud of you. And I'm like, some days I just feel like, gosh, I wish I can go a little bit harder. But she's like, no, you have to realize it takes time. The seeds that you're planting, they're going to come back to you, but you have to realize that during that season, you don't go, when you plant a seed, you don't go back and dig up that seed to see if it's still growing. You just keep going. So I believe all the seeds that I have planted, they're coming and they're growing. And then as they're growing, I can go back and go, oh my God, that fruit that I planted, it's there. So that's all the seeds that I planted, not only here in my community, but around the world. They are going to be able to plant other seeds, and they're going to be like, I saw Dr. Tristica and she gave me this advice, and she told me about her mom, she told me about her story, and I think that's what success is going to be for me. It's not money, it's about how you're living your life and how people can see what you're going through, that they can accomplish anything. So that's what success means to me. Making my mom smile and letting others see my story and go, wow, this nerd with these big glasses.
I was gonna ask about the glasses.
Got bullied, for the color of her skin, and she decided, one day when she grows up, she wants to make a difference. She wants to just say, look, just because the way you're nerdy in some type of way, you can still make a difference. You can still make people laugh and smile, even though the inside is broken. That broken piece can help somebody else who's broken mend it up. So
And
Beautiful,
Tristica,
beautiful.
I don't want to interrupt you, but
yes, sir.
you are uniquely qualified to inspire and motivate people to be what they never dreamed of. You are a perfect testimony to help people. So we're proud of you.
Yes, we are.
Thank you.
And I like your glasses.
We love your glasses.
Thank you so much.
Tell us about you. What do you think success is for you?
Well, for me, I gotta tell you, something similar to what Dr. Tristica said, but it is really make the difference, positive difference in somebody else's lives. What I mean by this, as an example, I am a coach, as you guys know, and I coach people. And the other day I told my husband, the way they get to the sessions and the way they leave the sessions, with that smile, that energy, because, my coaching is all energy-based, it fuels me, And I told my husband, I don't know who leaves the sessions better, if it's them or myself.
Oh, great.
I really, and it goes, obviously, none of what happened in those sessions, as you guys may know, is planned. It comes very naturally, you only use the techniques, of course, but, I'm not them. They say what they want to say, and it's all about them. And to be honest with you, this is a big shift I've made in my life when I decided to quit the corporate life and put together my own business. And I will admit that like most people, I lived in this square, always think about myself, how successful in terms of acquiring the materialistic things would be for me. And I was never satisfied. I could never, ever enjoy what I was getting, always thinking, and I hate this expression, but I use this a lot in my life, not anymore. The best is still to come. And this is not right. I learn how to value the moment that I am having, because this is the only thing I can control. Because I don't know, right? So I'm here talking to you guys. God forbidden, I don't know what can happen right after that. So it is this, the success for me is this. It's really make sure that whatever I do, it will reflect in somebody else's life. It's about giving back, because I had so many people that helped me. And I have a similar story as Dr. Tristica. I was born in a very tiny 1990 city in remote Brazil. Okay, the book is coming. It's true. I
Good.
made my pathway out to what I wanted, because I knew, remember the purpose? That purpose was there since I was very little, 8 years old, 7 years old, okay? I knew what I wanted to be. And then I carved out to really achieve, the purpose of my life. Right now, I'm very proud to say that it's not about me anymore. It's about the others. And whatever I can do, to impact in all the different dimensions. I was even talking to Dr. Tristica that I'm going to have a one-to-one with her, because I'm very interested in getting to know better her organization and see if perhaps I can help. That's what
Wow.
success is for me. And guys, I got to tell you something. By doing so, that doesn't mean that I don't need the paycheck anymore. I do, but it comes as a consequence.
So
To your point, Dr. Tristica, it's not about money. It's about what you can do to help other people, and the money is just a consequence of that. So that's
I say the money, it's a byproduct of doing a great job for somebody.
there we
Mhm.
go.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about. We're not here to make money. We're here to make a positive impact in society or somebody's life. And your reward is simply a byproduct of you doing something great and impacting somebody else's life. And then, so your employee, if you're an owner, if you're a ministry, whatever it is, your rewards are going to come strictly as a byproduct of doing something great and touching somebody's life.
I love it. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. I wish we have more time to talk about all these amazing topics.
Amazing.
Before we finish, I'm going to ask you quick tips that you can recommend our audience, especially for people that wants to study business. And I'm going to go back with Dr. Tristica.
I think the first thing, what I tell all my ambassadors and all my fellows is write the vision down first. Write on a piece of paper. Get a journal and journal it out, because that's going to be your toolkit. That's going to be your toolkit to go back and go on this date. And I did this for myself. On October 2011, I wrote down what I wanted to do for the next 6 years with NERDRL Inc. I wrote down my programs and everything. And now I can go back and look at, oh my gosh, I really did a bullying prevention project. Only did feed the homeless. So write it down, write a journal, write to yourself and encourage yourself in your journal. So you might say, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. Go down in that journal and write on this date. Like today is August 6th. August 6th, I was watching these two great women from California and Florida talking about HR and creating an organization.
Yes.
And these are the tips that they told me. We're talking to each other, but this is actually for them. This is their resource. They can write all this down and go, on this day, this is what I learned, and this is what I want to do in my business or my project. And that you're just writing that vision down. Just believe it once you write it down.
I love it.
Wow.
Beautiful.
One tip, Eva, for somebody starting a business.
Well, first of all, starting a business is just a piece of somebody's life. So the first thing I would really advise anybody is to have a purpose. Live your lives by a purpose. And as soon as you identify your purpose, this is going to be the foundation for anything you do in your life. Number two, set up goals, SMART goals. SMART goals, the specific, measurable, attainable, reasonable, time-bounded, that will support your purpose, okay? And this will be renewed as you move through your life. And this is obviously valid for anybody opening a business. And number three, of course, execute your goals.
Ooh.
Make it happen.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're going nowhere.
Let's keep dreaming.
That's why it's so important to set up the SMART goals, because that will give you the confidence that you can achieve them. These are my three cents here.
I
I
love
love
it.
it.
I think what you said about execute the company. I think the best uses that all the time is Nike would do it now.
Just do it.
Just do it. That is the most
Just
powerful sentence for anybody trying to do anything in life. Just do it. People sit
Just
there
do
and wait till the new president comes in, COVID goes away, and then they die with their dreams in their head and nothing happens. So just do it. Get a big sign on your desk or in your wall saying, just do it. And that would inspire you and motivate you. Writing things down is absolutely essential. Like,
I'm actually doing that.
we
I'm
journal.
writing down.
We have to journal because I know for a fact that when you listen, you capture maybe 10, 20%, I think, of what you hear. And when you write it down, it's probably like 70%. So there's power and it's biblical.
It
Write
is.
it down. And that's the key to making sure that you not only go back and review, but also you do it.
exactly.
I'm
Can I
so
say
glad-
one more thing about flawless execution that can help everybody? Practice the KISS philosophy. You know what that means? Keep it simple stuff. Okay?
I have not
Simplicity.
learned one.
He used another
No,
definition.
but I am not going to say that other word because remember, it's my new me here. But
I use
simplicity.
that.
Because
Yes,
people
use
get caught, in the middle of their actions. That's why many people are not able to achieve and execute their goals. So
I agree.
Yes.
Yep.
Keep
It's
it
simple.
simple.
I agree.
Keep it simple. Start.
Start.
I agree. Keep it simple.
keep
Yeah.
it
I
simple
love
stuff.
Keep it simple stuff. I like
I
it.
love it. Thank you so
This is
much.
amazing.
This was a wonderful
Yeah.
show. We really learned a
The
lot.
comments are coming from
Yes.
all over, from India, from all over the world.
Uganda,
Yeah,
also England.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everybody, for watching
Powerful.
the show. It's really a very educational time that we use to educate our audience, to educate people that wants to know more about different aspects. Today, we learned about human resources, human capital. We learned about the grants, the involvement in the community, and some things that I wanna mention before we finish is that I really I was impressed because both of you ladies decided to have passion first before money. You think about serving the community is first because the money is going to come after.
Mhm.
And I love that. I love the fact that you are, in Eva case, she already decided to leave the corporate industry, the executive position, and start her own business because of the passion. Dr.
Yep.
Tristica is also in the same process. And that requires a lot of courage because you are leaving something that is, probably
Security.
security for something that is going to be, new for you, and you're going to start new challenges. But don't be afraid because
No.
the only thing that you can do, like you said, is try and keep it simple.
And have a purpose is very important.
Have a purpose.
If you don't have a purpose, your passion, you have nothing to have passion about.
Nothing.
Except
Right.
Fridays, happy
Right.
hour.
Or traveling the weekends like you
Or
are.
traveling there. It's not easy. Life is not easy, but I'll try. We appreciate you tremendously. We want to thank you for today. The comments are amazing topics that people don't talk about, but also don't want to talk about, like abuse at home, all these things. So everybody's commented on all the positive aspects of this seminar, and you two ladies are phenomenal. We will continue this conversation because this doesn't end here.
Yes, and we're gonna be posting your contact information for people that wants to, directly send you some messages or talk to you. We're gonna have available that information for you after we finish the show. Thank you so much again, everybody. Happy Friday.
Thank you to you both, and it's been a pleasure to meet Dr. Tristica.
Yes,
And,
and it's a pleasure to
guys,
meet you. Oh my
awesome,
gosh.
awesome
I can't
experience. Thank you.
Yes, I love it.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Take care. See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.